Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Friends, Facts, and Fiction. As always, this podcast is made possible by our local convenience stores, the misappropriation of history, and you. And now to your hosts, Justin Hammonds, Brant Bramlett, and Drew Shellnut.
What's up? What's happening, world? This is a podcast called Friends, Facts, and Fiction. Season 5, Trying to Thrive and Stay Alive. Episode 15, continuation of our Gold Rush dive.
Gold Rush 2.
You know, Gold Rush 2. Yeah, the rise, the middle part.
2.
The middle part of the rise. Anyway.
It's like P.F. Chang's. Chang's.
Puff Chang's, yeah. Puff Chang's, yeah.
2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I'm Justin Hammonds, and back in the studio, got Drew Shellnut.
I'm here at last.
My boy's back, and my homie Graham Bramlett. So
Hello.
I heard thugging in these streets. Yeah, man, we back. Episode 15. You know, took another little light week off, but you know, might be bi-weekly. Who knows? We got a lot of things happening these days. You know, maybe a podcast network in the talks. I don't know. There's things. Just stay aware. You know,
I
be informed
swear,
and listen.
Really though, I'm just baffled at. Are we writing our own fate, or does shit just seem to happen that coalesces with what we decide to do when we sit in this room and then put it out to people who seem to like to listen to it, which is awesome. But I mean, for real, like the whole like staying alive, trying to thrive, like that's just stupid. How pertinent that is to our individual lives this season.
Yeah,
I mean,
straight up.
we have all these really great ideas. Some of them seem to come into fruition, but then of course there's that other element of it of just trying so hard to stay alive. Like, it's just so hard. Like when my eyes open in the morning, it's a mixture of either, oh, this shit again, or, oh my God, I made it through another day.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
That's something I seen the other day. You know, in my self-motivation lookups on the internet. It's like, yeah, man. Anytime you feel like giving up, just think about, let's make it to the next day.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Continue that as a domino effect until, you know, there's a year and you've been doing your damn best for ever so how long you need to. But yeah, that's my little motivation today. Yeah, go to the next day.
Yeah.
Give it one more day.
Absolutely.
Give it one more day.
I've also got another little like, what do they call that? Like $2 philosophy or something. I can't remember the phrase. It's an old person phrase. Either way, that just like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you hear it, you're like, that's. But yeah, that applies.
Yeah.
Is something I heard a long time ago is like, if it's seems like something you're trying to do in your life is causing your life some kind of like massive disruption, you know, where it seems like every time you take a step in that direction, you are forced to take 2 steps back. That's actually the direction that you need to be going in your life. You know what I mean? So anybody out there, honestly, that is like, okay, I know this is a good idea. I know this is what I should be doing. But why is it so fucking hard? Well, that's proof that is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
The challenge.
I remind myself of that a lot.
The old challenge.
The one that I use a lot is might as well be walking backwards. At least you're getting somewhere.
And you said you're from Wisconsin, right?
Oh, yeah. The Badgers.
Yeah.
Hey. Cheese, badges. Badges, cheese, bags.
Speaking of that, bro, football season's right upon us.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's already started.
Yeah, it's here.
It's happening, man. It's doing
Week
its thing.
0 of the NCAA.
Vanderbilt went to Hawaii.
And won.
Stomped that ass.
Yeah. I mean, given
That's about
Hawaii,
the only
it's
stomp
like,
that ass they're going to get this year.
yeah,
but
Hawaii's
that's
like,
okay.
ranked like 123 out of 130 or some shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they're
Vanderbilt better have won.
They're up there.
Yeah. But
True. Other way.
Oh,
The
yeah.
other way. Yeah.
You're down there up there.
you know, Saturdays and Sundays are going to be filled for the coming months. So there's that. There's no drinking there. Just keep grabbing it. Anyway, yeah, man, we back. Hope y'all doing well out there. Do we have a song of the day of the week, or what are we vibing on? Just listen to music.
I thought about it before I came over and was trying to think of something, but honestly, I've kind of reverted back to some Queen again. I'm having a hard time, and it's a good hard time. But it's Queen. So anything and everything they ever put out, listen to it.
Yeah, some good songwriting, some good late
Never
nights.
never gonna go wrong with the band that named Lady Gaga. So,
Seriously.
There you go.
And I mean, even their like quote unquote bad songs are still good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not at the Opera, that whole album. People were like, "Oh, terrible." It's a fantastic
No, it's
album.
awesome.
The songwriting and the compositions, it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out to I had to reach out to Grant for this answer Sunday. We used to play with a band in one of the bands that we played with called the Blam Blams. If you haven't heard them, if you haven't stuck your neck out there for that, do it. Because those
Very
motherfuckers.
similar.
Dude,
Pretty similar.
they are
Very similar
challenging
vibes.
Queen, yeah, and then super glam rock. I personally have a massive crush on that lead singer, man. That boy is cute.
He's a pretty boy.
And he plays the fuck out of a piano.
Yes, he does.
He wears the fuck out of some spandex, and he's got them high kicks when he's singing his songs. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like they get it.
Fire.
They fucking get it.
Yeah, I remember that crazy ass show y'all played at what was it out in Franklin,
Oh yeah.
and Steve tried to
Something
jump
theater.
off the fucking railing and fucking snapped his ankle. You
Yeah.
remember that shit?
Yeah. Oh yes, I definitely remember
And
that shit. I
finished
was
the
living
show,
with
bro. Yeah. I was holding him on the rail, and he was like, he looked at me and looked at the floor. I was like, "No, man,
Don't do it.
No,
Don't
you're not
do
gonna
it.
make it. You're not
He's
gonna.
like,
It's
yeah,
not
I'm
gonna
gonna fucking do
He's
it.
like, It's like, bro, that's like a 8 foot, like a 10-foot drop almost, bro. Like,
I mean, if you have, honestly, Steve
and he
Forrest is
jumped
the
up. He
epitome
didn't just like jump down. He jumped up to go down.
of someone that wanted to be a rock star since the day he was born and managed to actually do it.
Yeah.
You know, even if he's not on stage right now, still a fucking rock star.
Yeah, he's a rock star through and through. For sure.
As a father right now, he's a
Yeah,
rock
shouts
star.
out to Steve Forrest, bro.
Yeah, love you, bud.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, text me back.
Come
Right?
see us in
No,
Nashville.
he's the worst at that.
But yeah, man, listen to Queen and check out a local great band called the Blam Blams, local
Blam.
in Nashville, that is. Yeah, check that out. But we're going to slide into these hot facts, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, get comfortable, relax. Yeah. Anyway,
Slow sizzle.
I feel really stressed out right now. Is that bad?
Gold Rush,
So-
part 2.
So we're in 2 of the Gold Rush. I wasn't here. I did my due diligence, listened, read the last one because I was like, oh fuck, I got to know where to be in here.
Yeah.
So mine is going to be essentially just the Gold Rush.
Right.
The just fat part of
All the shit.
Sorry, guys. This episode's going to be called Death of a Dream. So hang on. So in what has been referred to as the first world-class gold rush, there was no easy way to get into California. 49ers faced hardships and often death on the way.
For sure.
At first, most Argonauts, as they were known, traveled by sea from the East Coast and sailing around the tip of South America. It would take about 4 to 5 months, covering approximately 21,000 miles. That's 18,000 nautical.
Damn.
And for everybody across the pond, 33,000 kilometers.
Cha-cha.
An alternative was to sail to the Atlantic side of the Isthmus of Panama, take canoes and mules for a week through the jungle,
Jesus.
and then on the Pacific side, wait for a ship sailing for San Francisco.
Okay, so that's the easier one.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
That's the more scenic route, as they say.
Yeah. There are also routes across Mexico starting at Veracruz. The companies providing such transportation created vast wealth among their owners and included the U.S. Mail Steamship Company, the federally subsidized Pacific Mail Steamship Company, and the Accessory Transit Company. Many gold seekers took to the overland across the continental United States. But honestly, like, as far as people coming in, people coming out.
Well, the Overlanders, they were taking like the Oregon Trail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there were about 4,000 or 5,000 people from the United States, and the other 150,000 came from everywhere else.
Yeah. Oh, it messed up the markets in China
Yep.
and Mexico because they all left the country to come there. and they came into some harsh times.
Yep.
Actually,
So each of these routes had its own deadly hazards, from shipwreck to typhoid fever and cholera. In the early years of the rush, much of the population growth in San Francisco was due to steamship travel from New York City through overland portages in Nicaragua and Panama, and then back up by steamship to San Francisco, which to me seems like backtracking, but all right.
I mean, if you're going backwards, you're still getting somewhere, right?
You know, you got to get somewhere. It's true. It's true. That's immediate foot and mouth syndrome. So, while traveling, many steamships from Eastern Seaboard required the passengers to bring kits, which were typically full of personal belongings such as clothes, guidebooks, tools, etc. In addition to personal belongings, Argonauts were required to bring barrels full of beer, biscuits, butter, pork, rice, and salt.
Oh yeah, it's a good old barbecue right there. boy.
Required.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they were dwarves, I'm pretty sure, back in the day.
Yeah.
The salted pork,
Right.
you know. So while on the steamships, travelers could talk to each other, smoke, fish, and other activities depended on the ship they traveled. A lot of these guys also, you know, they were living in little shanties and mud huts and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But they found abandoned ships to live in as well,
Oh, nice.
which is pretty crazy.
Pretty
Still,
fun.
the dominant activity held throughout the steamships was gambling,
Oh yeah.
which was ironic because segregation between wealth gaps was prominent throughout the ships, very obviously. Everything was segregated between the rich versus the poor. There were different levels of travel. One could pay for, one could pay for it to get to California. And as you guys talked about in the latter episode, Homeboy was just bringing slaves in.
Yeah.
From Mexico, the
Yeah,
natives,
That's
and
what those
Hawaiians.
those Chinese and Mexican became.
Yeah.
pretty much.
And I also thought, and I'll probably get there too, but I also thought it was pretty funny that they called them Californinos,
Californinos, huh?
but the locals just called them Californians, and that was just Spanish speaking
Yeah.
migrants.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
But the cheaper steamships tend to have longer routes. In contrast, the more expensive would get passengers to California quicker. There were clear social and economical distinctions between those who traveled together, being that those who spent more money would receive accommodations that were not allowed to the other people.
Oh yeah. Oh, you a high roller? Come on through.
First class. Got it.
Yep.
Exactly.
So they would do this with clear intent to distinguish their higher class power over those who could not afford this. Supply ships arrived in San Francisco with goods to supply the needs of the growing population. When hundreds of ships were abandoned after their crews deserted to go into the gold fields, many ships were converted to warehouses, stores, taverns, hotels, and one into a jail.
Of course.
Dope.
You got to do that, right?
Straight to Australia
Yeah,
once it's
right.
full.
It was the first Azkaban. As the city expanded and new places were needed on which to build, many ships were destroyed and used as a landfill. Within a few years, there was an important but lesser-known surge of prospectors into far northern California, specifically in present-day Siskiyou, Shasta, and Trinity counties. Discovery of gold nuggets at the site of present-day Eureka in 1851 brought thousands of gold seekers up to Siskiyou Trail and throughout California's northern counties. Way to go, Drew. Settlements of the gold rush era, such as Portuguese Flat on Sacramento River, sprang into existence and then faded. The gold rush town of Weaverville on the Trinity River today retains the oldest continuously used Taoist temple in California. A legacy of Chinese miners who came.
Yeah, for sure.
Super fucking cool. While there are not many gold rush era ghost towns still in existence, the remains of once bustling towns of Shasta have been preserved in California State Historic Park in Northern California.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
That they've got basically just these gold rush ghost towns just still there for people to be like, oh wow, this is what I was like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched this video where it's called like rusted decay or something, or steady something decay, where they like basically just reinforce the foundation on these cabins because they would just build them into the ground, and they would just like sink into the ground and disintegrate basically.
Sure,
'cause it's
sure.
natural wood. So they just go in and put like a cement foundation up under it and put more logs so it's elevated above the ground. So it's the same building minus like a few feet of like the bottom. So the windows are like closer to the ground. The doors are shorter and shit.
Yeah.
But it's still the same fucking cabins. It's
crazy.
The same
It
fucking
just
shit.
sunk.
As well. It just sunk into the ground. Like literally just like
that's cool.
naturally went back to the earth. It's
Right,
fucking
right,
wild, bro. It's nuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So by 1850, most of the easily accessible gold had been collected. And attention turned to extracting gold from more difficult locations. Faced with gold increasingly difficult to retrieve, Americans began to drive out foreigners to get at most of the accessible gold that remained.
Of course.
That sounds unlike us. That's weird.
Oh, yeah, Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, this is not natural. This is ours.
I am a real American.
This is mine.
Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. That should have been my song of the day of the week. So the new California state legislature passed a foreign miners tax of $20 per month, $650 per month as of
Shit.
2022.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And American prospectors began organizing attacks on foreign miners, particularly Latin American Chinese.
Yeah, it was a crazy revolt.
Hold on.
one of
White
those.
Americans are physically attacking people of other like origin and races.
See, again, I
just
don't
for their
understand.
resources?
It just doesn't.
was a crazy
It
time.
doesn't compute,
Man,
man.
it's really.
I mean,
wow.
it was-
Times have changed.
It was so long
Haven't they,
ago.
though?
Everything's different now. It's so long ago. That's so long ago, man.
In addition, the huge numbers of newcomers were driving Native Americans out of their traditional hunting, fishing, and food gathering areas. Well, duh. To protect their homes and livelihood, some Native Americans responded by attacking the miners.
Of course.
This provoked counterattacks on the native villages. The Native
Probably
Amer-
at much a lesser degree, though. I would assume.
just small, like one or two people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Native Americans outgunned were often slaughtered. Those who escaped massacres were many times unable to survive without access to their food gathering areas, and they starved to death.
That's brutal as fuck.
Yeah. Novelist and poet Joaquin Miller vividly captured one such attack in his semi-autobiographical work, Life Amongst the Modocs. The first people to rush the gold fields began in the spring of 1848, and they were the residents of California themselves, primarily agriculturally oriented. Americans and Europeans living in Northern California, along with native Californians, some called Californios or whatever.
Californios.
Yeah. So essentially Spanish-speaking
California.
Californians. The first miners tended to be families in which everyone helped in the effort. Women and children of all ethnicities were found panning next to men. Some enterprising families set up boarding houses to accommodate the influx of men. In such cases, the women often brought a steady income while their husbands searched for gold. Word. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild for those
So,
times.
oh,
Actually,
big time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I obviously had talked about a lot about like the Oregon Trail and everything, and it got me on a weird little tangent too. And I found another podcast that was all about the Oregon Trail, and ended up finding like the old Oregon Trail game that we played when we were kids.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Cholera.
I know. And then
Distemper.
Apple's got some new version of it, which is it's fine. A little overcomplicated.
It's not the
But
OG shit.
I'm also still playing it, man.
Yeah.
I'm also still playing it.
Yeah.
But like, one of the big things from that is actually like women started wearing pants during this time. They learned how to like fix the wagons and then do like minor carpentry type work and stuff like that. And then during like the Homestead Act and all that kind of shit, women were finally allowed or granted ownership of land. Which is just a crazy, crazy shift in the gender role of what early America, especially this like massively God-fearing manifest destiny version of what this early America was, and in the fact that, you've got like men, women, and children all panning for golds, and if the husband's like losing his goddamn mind trying to find some golds because they went all the way over there with every last penny they had, lost about 60% of it on the way out.
Yeah, ain't no going back at this point.
There's no going back, right?
Yeah.
He's desperate. He's fucking desperate looking for this shit. And so she's like, all right, well, I learned how to fix the wagon, so I'm going to go out and fucking, make some houses better and make us some money while you try. You're not listening to me. You're
not listening.
You dilly-dally.
He's crying into the rocks. There's no gold there. Not even water. Yeah. So, word of the gold rush spread slowly at first. The earliest gold seekers were people who lived near California or people who heard the news from ships on the fastest sailing routes from California. The first large group of Americans to arrive were several thousand Oregonians who came down the Siskiyou Trail. Next came people from the Sandwich Islands, which if you don't realize, the Sandwich Islands are like one of the most
delicious of the islands.
They are delicious, especially the Cubans.
Penn Station
and banh mi's. They're pretty good too.
They're good, but I really like the old Scooby-Doo, those bread, vegetable, meat, bread, cheese, meat, vegetable, bread.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Zoinks.
Yeah, delicious, man, delicious.
So, and several thousand Latin Americans, including people from Mexico, Peru, and from as far away as Chile, both by ship and overland. Imagine going from Chile all the way to California.
Gosh, God.
Holy
Horse
shit.
and wagon, or sometimes a very long walk from what I hear researching. Some of these motherfuckers just walked.
Yeah, they did.
That's fucking insane.
Isn't that crazy?
That's fucking insane. But anyway.
So by the end of 1848, some 6,000 Argonauts had come to California. Only a small number, probably fewer than 500, traveled overland from the United States that year, like I mentioned before.
Jeez, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's insane. 6,000 compared to 500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The white people was just lazy. That's what it sounds like to me.
And then try to claim it all.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Sounds,
Oh, yeah.
That sounds eerily weird. I don't know.
Par for the course. You know?
Okay, again, this is the first I'm hearing.
Some shit like this? Yeah, it's crazy.
Me
man.
as a very proud white person, I am just baffled. I'm baffled that they would say that I am lazy, and then once I get there, I'm just gonna.
And you're
take
from
it?
like what, Pulaski, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, Coleman. All right.
Oh Jesus, Murphy.
And if you're from the South, you know what's up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, United States that year, some of these 48ers, as the earliest gold seekers were sometimes called, were able to collect large amounts of easily accessible gold in some cases, thousands of dollars worth each day.
That's crazy.
Each
seriously.
day.
And back in those times, that's fucking insane.
Oh, man.
You know,
That's
$1 million.
millions of dollars.
Exactly.
That's millions
And
of dollars.
that's what kind of fucked up the 49ers, because by the time they really got through there, it was just fucking little small nuggets.
And that was
dust.
just a year later.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm thinking about it right now. In the year of 2022, I'm pretty sure I've never made $1,000 a day.
Oh, no.
Pretty sure.
I mean,
I've had some good days, but I don't think I've ever made $1,000.
I've had an occupation once that was similar to
But
that.
it wasn't all yours, was it? Though
It was all my. Yeah,
proud of
but
you.
We're gonna get up out of there.
Proud of you. I'm proud of you.
I'm prouder that you got out.
All right,
Right.
And we're gonna slide up out of there anyway.
I think that's this button.
Yeah,
No, that's the side down. Let me do this.
slide.
It's been too long since I've been doing this.
There we go.
Yeah,
slide out of there.
Yeah.
Get up out of there. All right. Anyway,
So even ordinary prospectors average daily gold finds worth 10 to 15 times the daily wage of a laborer on the East Coast.
Yeah.
A person could work for 6 months in the gold fields and find the equivalent of 6 years' wages back home.
Yeah,
Hell
that totally tracks.
without a doubt.
That's insane. Some hope to get rich quick and return home. Others wish to start business in California.
That's the best time to start a business.
Yeah.
You know, if
some
if
did,
motherfuckers
and
got
they did it
paper,
well.
you
Yeah.
sell some pens. You feel me? Like straight
Yeah.
up.
So by the beginning of 1849,
I mean,
word of the gold rush had spread around the world, and an overwhelming number of gold seekers and merchants began to arrive from virtually every continent.
Of course.
The largest group of 49ers in 1849, where Americans, arriving by tens of thousands at this time, overland across the continent and along various selling routes. The name 49ers obviously came from the year 1849. So if you were questioning that, that's where that was.
Yeah, and it's also like a very mediocre football team.
It's a
in
very
NFL.
mediocre football team. Yeah.
Shouts out to McThrill.
Yeah.
I fucking love Doug Flutie. He's still there, right?
Doug Flutie, bro.
Doug
What the
Flutie?
fuck?
Come on, man. What is this, 85?
No, they got the Hall of Famer Jimmy G over there, bro.
Yeah, about that. But many from the East Coast negotiated a crossing of the Appalachian Mountains, taking to riverboats in Pennsylvania, pulling the keel boats to Missouri River, wagon train assembly ports, and then traveling in a wagon along the California Trail. So these motherfuckers came all the way across the Appalachian Mountains, got on a riverboat in Pennsylvania, and then took keel boats to the Missouri River, and then got on the California Trail.
That's fucking insane.
So you have to think, by the time by all of that time that was passed, when they got there, a little bit more sad times for these guys than what
that
they
shit's probably got to
expected.
be mostly done. As
Yeah.
far as like the stuff you can just like scrape out of the creek, you know?
Yeah, bro. If you were there when Sutter first found the shit, you're gold.
Yeah.
Like, no pun intended, but also pun intended. Then also, hey, if you're there in 1848, solid gold. 49, no. Yeah, it's pretty much done at that point. You're literally scraping for nuggets every day.
Yeah.
Like, they created so many mechanisms to like dig deeper in the earth that it fucked up the like rivers and shit.
I'm
Like,
just sad that you fucked up the third pun. I mean, you were so close.
Yeah, whatever.
You almost had it. Almost had it.
But yeah, it was literally just like you heard the news too late, you're fucked. You know?
Right. No, I mean, for real, though.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So 49ers came from Latin America, particularly from Mexican mining districts near Sonora and Chile. Gold seekers and merchants from Asia, primarily from China, began arriving in 1849. At first, in modest numbers, to Gum San, the Gold Mountain. Then, the name given to California in Chinese. The first immigrants from Europe, reeling from the effects of the revolutions of 1848, and with a longer distance travel, began arriving in late 49, 18, that is. Mostly from France, with some Germans, Italians, and Britons.
At that point, you're an employee. You're not the boss anymore, dog.
Oh,
You're,
no,
you're
absolutely,
going
yeah.
in to work for a mining company at that point.
And a crazy thing to think about, honestly, like, okay, so the middle of America is straight up and down fucking wilderness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Postal Service was a very national thing, and it was insanely like important and very much revered.
Yeah, shouts out to
and
Stagecoach
understandable.
Mary.
So- yeah, absolutely.
Black
But
West episode. Go check that
that's,
out.
that's a motherfucker on a horseback,
Yeah.
right? So
Horseback
think about
and
how
carriage
long it
sometimes.
takes to get so like, hey bud, how you doing? 6 months later, I'm good. You? Right? I mean, if you think of it this way.
Motherfuckers could die in the amount of time.
Exactly.
Well, and that's
Right.
why, like,
And so
your
if you
boy
start-
Brennan that you talked about in the last episode
Yeah.
got a divorce from his wife because he wouldn't leave California, and she was in Germany, and she was like, nah, bro,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting dicked down by somebody else right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Because it's been months, motherfucker. But the crazy thing to think about, though, is like you're talking about like Chile and all these like Western European countries and China. Mm-hmm. I mean, for news to spread that fast within a year in the late 1800s or the mid 1800s, rather, like by the time of a year, that shit's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like getting a
That's-
like an Instagram or Facebook post from like 10 years ago.
Exactly. And I mean, so the
Pretty
idea of this thing literally did go viral,
Yeah.
right? If we're talking
It did.
about modern day terms, because within a year, by the time that these people found out about it and came over, shit out of luck.
They populated the West Coast.
Done.
Yes, that's the whole reason the West Coast is the West Coast.
Yeah.
It
That's
takes what 6 to 8 months to make the journey for most people.
Yeah.
So even when you heard the news and started the travel, you're fucked.
By the time you got there, you're like,
Yeah, exactly. But motherfuckers ain't thinking like that. Like,
Wish
it's abundant. You know,
wish
'cause it's the
Uncle
abundant
Otis
West.
was over there now.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. It's the unknown. They don't know that it's finite
Right.
in that area. So
Yeah.
you have to move a lot. It's not just in one spot.
So,
That's how
yeah.
they end up in Montana, actually.
It's
Anyway.
yeah,
Oh.
I can
true.
see that.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's estimated that approximately 90,000 people arrived in California just in 1849 alone.
Oh, yeah.
90,000.
That's so many people for back then. I mean, it's a lot of people for now, but
Yeah.
like, Jesus.
Yeah, they basically had a light Coachella.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
That was the very first ever Coachella.
It was.
Cool.
The 49ers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of banjo, whiskey, and delirium.
No wonder that shit's sold out by now. You know?
It's on fire.
In a bad way, I mean. Fuck Coachella. Seriously. It's been going on for too long. That's what it is.
Yep.
It's been going on since the 1800s, bro. Shit crazy.
And half of those were by land, half were by sea. So, yeah, they were all fucked when they got there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially if you go by land, you're definitely fucked.
Yeah. So, of these, perhaps 50 to 60,000 were Americans, which is crazy because at the beginning it was 500 to 6,000. But the Americans started to get ornery, if you will, over the situation. And the rest were from other countries. By 1855, it is estimated that at least 300,000 gold seekers, merchants, and other immigrants had arrived in California from around the world.
Dog, you missed the boat.
Right.
You missed the boat for
Jesus.
sure.
All
That's-
300,000 of you just missed the boat, you know?
And 290,000 of you are working for a mining company.
Yep.
There might be 10,000 out of there that
Yeah.
maybe found
Yep.
some shit and got out. But like, you just got a really shitty job. You went through all that to get a really shitty job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically.
And the largest group continued to be Americans. But there were tens of thousands each of Mexicans, Chinese, Britons, Australians, French, and Latin Americans, together with many smaller groups of miners, such as African Americans, Filipinos, Basques, and Turks.
Wow.
Yeah. So people from small villages in the hills near Genova, Italy, were among the first to settle permanently in the Sierra Nevada foothills. They brought with them traditional agricultural skills developed to survive cold winters.
Oh, digging down.
Yeah.
They ready for it.
Yeah.
So
Also,
modest,
that place is creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Sierra Nevadas, there's a lot of weird shit happening in the Sierra Nevadas. Take a gander at that
And
shit.
also
They
It's
make
wild.
great beer. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Also
they,
think
they make
about-
some great creatures that we don't know.
the first ones to really dig in were the Italians.
Yeah, that's weird.
Out of all these hundreds of thousands of people who are coming from everywhere else, the Italians were the first ones to go. The fuck are you guys doing?
Dig down.
You know, go down.
That's where it is.
Yeah.
It's like in the earth, though. You know that, right? It's not just floating in the water. It's like in the earth. Like,
Right.
yeah, I
It
thought you would
comes
know
from the
this.
water.
Yeah.
No. So a modest number of African ancestry, probably less than 4,000, had come from the southern states, the Caribbean, and Brazil.
Good for them for getting out, though. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the southern states, I mean.
Yeah.
The Caribbean's beautiful. So
Caribbean
whatever.
and Brazil, I'd just stay
Back
there.
then, Brazil was amazing, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean,
It's still amazing now, culturally.
Okay.
But I mean, think about all the rainforests that were like still there.
Yeah.
oh yeah, before
Ooh,
like actual
man.
modern times.
Yeah.
You just chilling on the beach, you know, eating some fruit,
Beautiful.
fishing.
But death around every corner. So
yeah, I mean, definitely.
You find a bug that big, that's a Tuesday, man.
That's a Tuesday. Listen
You're
to this
eating.
motherfucker.
eating. Man, I found this 8-foot centipede.
No, man.
We about to go ham. I'm slow cooking this
You-
bitch.
On a spike.
Yep.
All 1,000 legs.
Come on, Betty. I didn't tell you to stop spinning the damn.
No, man. They
It
just,
keeps running off.
you realize they just use nets around their living spaces.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah.
That's how you get the netted beds in like New Orleans and shit back in the day.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And they still have that going on in Florida.
Oh yeah, I mean it's needed,
'Cause-
bro. I mean, shit. If you got like a beach house or like a outside
Mm-hmm.
type of themed house, you need the fucking little curtain around your bed. 'Cause bugs are.
You
serious.
essentially need a catio at every house.
Yeah.
Not for cats, but just
and
for
a
you.
ceiling fan constantly going, so it
Yeah.
wards them off. You know what I mean? But anyway,
So a number of immigrants were from China. Several hundred Chinese arrived in California in 1849 and 1850. And in 1852, more than 20,000 landed in San Francisco. Again, a little late to the party.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
hella late.
Yeah. And not to mention their distinctive dress and appearance was highly recognizable in the gold fields.
Yeah. You know, a documentarian really kind of put that to the forefront of, you know, in general, the beginning of racism, if you will, is usually defined by a very distinct, like us versus them.
You're
kind of a
different.
thing. Exactly, yeah. And so imagine
They come through in silks and fucking embroidered fucking shit. They in shitty jeans and crappy ass hats.
Right. I mean, from head to toe, they were distinctively different. You know.
Also, they hate the
So-
Chinese because they were fucking business oriented. They would like go and set up fucking shops real quick and get money out their pockets too.
That does dial back to what we've talked about countless times on this podcast is the idea of that like inferiority complex when it comes to, you know, the blatant racism that has existed.
They don't see the fact that they're trying to make it better. They just see the fact that you're trying to take my money
Right.
and you're different.
They pose a very real threat of the idea of like, oh, I came over here for this gold. Gold's not here. I'm going to set up another very potentially lucrative business or venture that exists around all these fucking
I can
people.
still make money if I'm not digging in the fucking earth.
Exactly.
basically. Yeah.
And then these fucking, you know, mud slopping hillbillies are furious at
Yeah.
the fact that they immediately figured that out.
Yeah. I didn't think of that.
At the fact that they figured out what the country was founded on capitalism before they did,
Exactly.
is 100% what that is.
Exactly, yeah.
They were like, sweet, capitalism over there, not communism? Fuck yeah. Get over there and it's like, now I'm called a chank.
Yeah. It's all
Like, what the fuck is this shit?
It's all fucking.
Like, what the fuck?
Did you just invent a slur?
No, I just grew up in Alabama as well as you guys did, but maybe a little bit in more of a red area.
Bruh, I was no bullshit. I was listening to this podcast. Theo Vaughn, shout out Theo Vaughn, man. He's around Nashville all the time. Funny as fuck has a podcast, and he had this Asian comedian on there, and he's like, "I've seen these motherfuckers that are like these white dudes that want to be like Chinese, and they made up the term wink." Bruh, that shit was so fucking funny. Anyway, I just thought I'd put that out there.
that has some really fun modern connotations.
That's
to it.
something.
That's
That's
people that
something.
enjoy documentary films.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Winks.
But
Wink,
yeah,
Wink,
the
wink,
winks,
you know?
Yeah. Anyway,
And we know the one that
Yeah.
white people that are trying to be of Afro persuasion, but we're not
Yeah.
going to go with that.
exactly. Anyway,
So, Chinese miners suffered enormously, enduring violent racism from white miners who aimed their frustration at foreigners. Further animosity towards the Chinese led to legislation such as the Chinese Exclusion Act and Foreign Miners Tax.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember what was it? Oh shit, it was my fucking episode. Why am I forgetting this? The fucking idiot that went down and he tried to make his own new civilization and
Oh, yeah.
everybody died or left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the dumbass. That was
New
like
Australia is what
Yeah,
he
New
started
Australia.
with, but
Yeah,
then
yeah.
there's the other ones that I can't remember right now. But they had their
that
what
episode
was
was
it
wild.
their daily like newsletter they disseminated between like the 16 of them, you know, was all about like the yellow fever and yellow threat and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's directly from this. They
Yeah.
hated them because of what we're talking about
Yeah.
today.
Exactly.
Well, and like I mentioned before, there were also women in the gold rush. However, their numbers were small. Of the 40,000 people who arrived on a ship in San Francisco Bay in 1849, only 700 were women.
Ooh, oh man.
Okay, so it's a sausage fest.
700. Yeah, a bunch of swanging wieners.
Just a bunch of wieners and pans.
Just wiener fest, yeehaw.
Panning them wieners.
Panning wieners. Panning for
rough.
wieners. You know? That's-
Poor women.
Well,
dude.
you
That
gotta think
sucks.
some of those guys probably was like, just stay here with the kids, honey. I'll be back with some gold.
yeah.
You know?
And she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Do you see how many hungry eyes I'm having to fucking
exactly.
pretend I don't see right now?"
Yeah.
Back then when your seed was the workforce, you know what I mean? Have 8 fucking kids in
Which-
fucking 4 years.
Dude,
and-
that's
You know,
horrible.
I don't really touch on this, but no pun intended. But there was probably some really bad situations going on for them.
Oh,
in
yes.
that.
Yeah, that's initially what I thought. I was like 40,000 men, 700 women. Ooh, that's not good. Anyway, I was gonna get it by there. Bad thoughts.
So they were of various ethnicities, including Anglo-American, white folks, African-American, Hispanic, Native, European, Chinese, and Jewish. The reason they came varied. Some came with their husbands, refusing to be left behind to fend for themselves.
Exactly.
Some came because their husbands sent for them. Others came, singles and widows, for the adventure and economic opportunities.
Right.
Oh wow,
Once again, you missed the boat on that one.
for sure.
On the trail, many people died from accidents, cholera, fever. If you haven't played Oregon Trail, go play it and you'll realize what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
bro, you can-
You're either going to break your leg or get cholera like every time, and you're going to
man,
die from both.
If you got one ox or a horse, some shit, they step in a fucking gopher hole, you're fucked. You know what I mean? That's a wrap.
You know, so
what
it's
I'm
funny,
saying?
like cholera, dysentery, yellow fever, not the one I referenced just a minute ago, but the actual like old school term for that particular disease. All of that was just poor hygiene habits.
100%.
Like seriously, it's they literally shitting in their fucking drinking water.
Yeah.
And not understanding what washing your hands means before you eat or share food with people. Seriously, that's the craziest fucking thing that again and again has come up within our podcast. You know, it is the fact that like all of the native peoples that were living in this area, as all these dumbass white people are coming through, literally shitting in springs and not washing their hands, and then passing these diseases on to them that have never experienced them. That which means that they have had a very clear understanding of hygiene when interacting with each
nature.
other, or more importantly, an almost instinctive, natural idea of what it means to keep your resources clean
you have to-
from your
My-
excrement.
the
You know what
waste
I mean?
of
Yeah.
my body probably shouldn't go back into my body.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, that and like you also have to wonder like
I mean, we had
how
all
many
these
people
fucking
are walking.
booger-eating idiots just coming through, being like, "I'm gonna
Oh,
flick
yeah,
my
bro.
booger in your face." You
Well,
know?
and how many
I
people
mean, they
are
created
walking
syphilis from
around?
fucking sheep. So I mean,
How many people are walking around with itchy ass
Yeah,
because they didn't wipe it well enough?
Got
You
them
know,
corn
like,
nuggets
it
in
was
there,
just
boy.
it had to been like just a fucking like everyday thing.
God,
Just can't stand it.
I'm glad we don't have smell-o-vision.
Oh
Dude,
God,
seriously, I bet that shit was
no.
terrible.
And I'm also amazing that there are babies at all during this time.
Right?
I mean,
Oh, bro, think about that. They ain't washing sheets.
I love people, but I've been in love with people. I don't know if I've ever loved somebody that much.
No, bro.
You think about that middle of the country where like you have to struggle to find a stream for like a week or two.
Yeah,
You know, a baby's born.
yeah.
You ain't washing sheets.
No.
You know what I mean?
Ugh.
Ain't it? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. That shit is, come on, man. That shit is, come on, man. God damn. Wash your ass. God damn.
Man.
That goes back to the pandemic shit. It's like, make sure you wash your hands. Have you dirty motherfuckers not been washing your hands? Like, what
Right?
the fuck? Anyway.
Goes back to what Grant was saying in one of the earlier podcasts. Was like, I just don't trust people who don't wash behind their ears.
Well, you got a little dust, man. Now.
Hey man, if you rub your finger behind your ear
And you can see your finger.
and you get a lint baby, there's something wrong with your ass.
You need to check on that. You might be dirty.
Yeah, you might be dirty as hell. So obviously, while in California, most of these women became widows because of disease or mining disputes with their husband. Life in the goldfields offered for women to break from their traditional work, step up a bit at
We
least.
talked about that.
So when the gold rush began, the Californian goldfields were peculiarly lawless places.
Oh, yeah.
When gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill, it was still technically part of Mexico. Under American military occupation as the result of the Mexican-American War. With the signing of the treaty ending the war on February 2nd, 1848, California became a possession of the United States. But it still wasn't a formal territory and didn't become a state until September 9th, day after my birthday, 1850. California existed in the unusual condition of region under military control. There were no civil legislature, executive, or judicial body for the entire region. So
That's confused as fuck, right?
well,
you're talking about the military having martial law at this point, too.
yeah. At best.
For 2 years.
Honestly,
At best.
At best.
For 2 years.
2 years.
Yes, 2 years. And the
Like-
only reason that it got, ratified was the fact that there were so many fucking people there, and it became very quickly one of the most valuable regions or territories that the
Economically, yeah.
country had ever known at this point, right?
Exactly.
And so I bet you so much money. And was it Boston at the time? It wasn't DC, obviously, yet. But either way, like
Philly.
thank you. The Philly, like the federal government is like just going like as fast as they can.
Yeah.
Like sign California. But there's nothing in between. We don't care. We need it. You know.
That's why they just rushed and made the lines in the middle.
Yeah.
You can see it. It's like, oh, well, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana.
Square,
Just do
rectangle,
whatever there.
Who cares? I don't know.
Square. Utah gets a handle.
But we definitely need California. We need the horseshoe at the end of the country. We need that.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy.
We're just going to take this whole western part. That's going to be just one state. Yep. But local residents operated under a confusing and changing mixture of Mexican rules, American principles, and personal dictates. Law enforcement of federal laws, such as the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, encouraged the arrival of free blacks and escaped slaves.
Cool.
While the treaty ending the Mexican-American War obliged the United States to honor Mexican land grants, almost all of the gold fields were outside those grants.
Really? Why?
Oh, I wonder.
Instead, the gold fields were primarily on public land.
That seems
Yeah,
convenient.
So
meaning land formerly owned by United States government.
So
That
that's
doesn't
like,
sound like that was
redlining?
real.
Is it the first like redlining?
Don't think it was real.
Yeah.
So, however, there were no legal rules yet in place and no practical enforcement mechanisms. So the benefit to the 49ers was that gold was simply free for the taking at first.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the gold fields at the beginning, there was no private property, no licensing fees, and no taxes.
Oh my God.
Right.
So awesome.
The miners informally adapted Mexican law, or the Mexican mining law that existed in California. For example, the rules attempted to balance the rights of early arrivers at a site with later arrivers. A claim to be staked by a prospector, but the claim was valid only as long as it was being actively worked.
Got you.
Miners worked at a claim only long enough to determine its potential. If a claim was deemed as low value, as most were, miners would abandon the site in search of a better one. In the case where a claim was abandoned or not worked upon, other miners would claim jump the land. Claim jumping meant that a miner began work on a previously claimed site. Disputes were often handled personally and violently.
So I say, motherfuckers got shot.
Yep.
Motherfuckers got killed. Full
Yep.
show.
And were sometimes addressed by groups of prospectors acting as arbitrators.
Yeah, think back then. You can just like, oh no, I'm working for the government.
Yeah.
Yeah. My papers they burnt.
More so, they'd probably just come through and be like, pan. This fucking sucks. I'll just go somewhere else. And then somebody comes through and is like, I struck gold. And then they're like, wait a minute, you ain't white.
Yep.
Give me that back.
Yep.
This was my prospecting land. You didn't see the
And so, like
paperwork.
you just said, like in some areas, the influx of many prospectors could lead to a reduction of the existing claim size by just pressure.
Yeah.
Approximately 400 million years ago, just jumping off to the next little bunch.
Damn, I was about to say.
Yeah. No, there's probably about 400 million people that ended up moving after all this. But
Meanwhile.
California lay at the bottom of a large sea. Underwater volcanoes deposited lava and minerals, including gold, onto the sea floor. So another like, hey, man, quit digging in the rocks. So by tectonic forces, these minerals and rocks came to the surface of the Sierra Nevada and eroded. Water carried exposed gold downstream and deposited it in quiet gravel beds. Hey, man, digging in the rocks along the sides of old rivers and streams. The 49ers first focused their efforts on these deposits of gold instead of digging down.
Where it came from.
They just thought it was just going to be coming from the water.
Yeah, straight up.
It made no sense.
Yeah, they didn't know better. They didn't win washing their asses, bro.
No, they
I
wasn't
think they're
washing
thinking
their asses.
about, oh, it's in the rocks.
I mean, seriously,
it's
though.
in the earth.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
in the water, bro.
Oh, this is a mineral? Oh,
Exactly.
neat. So, because the gold in California gravel beds was so richly concentrated, early 49ers were able to retrieve loose gold flakes and nuggets with their hands or simply pan for gold in the rivers and streams. Panning cannot take place on a large scale, and industrious miners and groups of miners graduated to placer mining using cradles and rockers or long toms to process larger volumes of gravel. So long toms are like essentially like a horse trough.
Yeah.
And they would have these big ass like rocking baskets that they would
Yeah.
shake back and forth.
Essentially look
After the
like
shit runs down the trough.
if you had like a bulldozer or something, like a crane arm,
Yeah.
but
Scoop
just
it in, dump
by
it,
people
shake it.
would
Right,
come out and shake it with about 10 people.
Yeah.
Miners would also engage in coyoteing, a method that involved digging a shaft 6 to 13 meters, 20 to 43 feet, deep into place deposits along the streams. Tunnels were then dug in all directions to reach the richest veins of pay dirt.
Dirt with the gold in it. Mm-hmm. You're fucking up the rivers right there.
Yep. In the most complex placer mining, groups of prospectors would divert the water from an entire river into a slough alongside the river and then dug for gold in the new exposed river bottom. So they were literally diverting the rivers.
Yeah, because they thought it was in the fucking water. So they were digging these troughs to get the water.
It's like a reverse dam,
Yeah, right.
you know?
It's
Yeah,
fucking
it is.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So modern estimates are that as much as 12 million ounces of gold were removed in the first 5 years of the gold rush.
Damn.
12 million ounces. That's 370 tons.
Dude, that's so fucking crazy.
That is 370 cars.
Yeah. Also, just a real quick thing. I probably should reserve this for the end of the episode, but I can't help it anymore. This is all for some shiny rock that looks a little neater than another rock
Yeah.
or another piece of dirt-like thing.
It's a standard,
that
my guy.
exists. And
It's shiny and biteable.
just
standard.
because
It's malleable,
that
bro.
it looks neat and we can bite it with our teeth,
It don't break.
has just formed the entire way that we exist and communicate and obviously trade within each other. Just maybe step back.
Yeah.
Take
you
a
know?
brief moment and think
You
about
know?
how fucking ludicrous that actually
Yeah,
is.
bro.
It's about as ludicrous as us doing the same thing with oil.
Of course it is.
Oh,
It's the same thing. It's just the modern era of gold rush.
yes.
Diamonds is the biggest fucking shame
Oh,
in the
well,
fucking
yeah.
world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation.
Personally,
though.
fucking hate me some diamonds, but yeah.
It's the biggest shame in the world.
I know.
But anyway,
So to finish this up, in the next stage, by 1853, hydraulic mining was used on ancient gold-bearing gravel beds on hillsides and bluffs on the gold fields. In a modern style of hydraulic mining, first developed in California and later used around the world.
Makes sense.
A high-pressure hose directed a powerful stream of or jet of water at gold-bearing gravel beds. It makes the most sense. The loosened gravel and gold would then pass over the sloughs, with gold settling at the bottom where it was collected. By the mid-1880s, it is estimated that 11 million ounces, 340 tons of gold, worth approximately $15 billion in 2010,
Yeah.
was retrieved and had been recovered by hydraulic mining. A byproduct of these extraction methods was the large amounts of gravel, silt, heavy metals, and other pollutants that went into the streams and rivers. As of 1999, many areas still bear the scars of hydraulic mining.
sure, yeah, bro.
Since that, resulting was exposed earth and downstream gravel deposits. So that's the end of it.
Well, I mean, like,
that is what death of a dream.
sure.
The dream was there,
Sorry, go ahead.
then they deathed it.
And then they deathed it.
They just deathed it.
Yeah.
Well, to real quick expound upon like what you were talking about. So they extracted pretty easily by hand individuals and then smaller groups and then slightly larger groups and then developed something that's now used across the world, which is reminiscent or makes me personally think of fracking, for example,
Yeah.
to try and get natural oil
Yep.
out of the ground. Something that has like irrevocably damaged that region of our country that actually wasn't our country, and then we made it our country because it made a lot of money, and we wouldn't even have that part of this country if we didn't win that war by doing some pretty shiesty shit to begin with to even get into that war. Blah. The most important thing is all of that shit that ran down and collected in that way, it does not support plant life. A lot of the natural wildfires that we get in the region
because of
of
that.
our country is because of that, right? The fact that these unnatural deserts that exist in the area, and then some, Hollywood, motherfucker is on a coke bender, flicks a lit cigarette from his way too expensive convertible car as he's going down the highway that also should not be there. Now we have to deal with fires for weeks on weeks on weeks.
Yeah.
At the,
Bro, it's
at
called
a time.
fire season out that way.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
And
insane.
that
Fire
is literally
season.
a direct correlation of this.
It's a direct
you know?
correlation in
they fucked up all
contrast,
the water.
or in, not contrast, but in comparison to before we inhabited that area, there was a fire season before that.
Yeah.
It was nature's way of irrigating.
Absolutely.
But now, because of
bigger.
the moving of the rivers and streams and such, you have way drier, way hotter areas, and we've just fucked up all the terraforming that could happen there.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, there is the argument of global warming, but there's also the argument of the fucking gold rush and stupid warming. Like, just don't go out there and fucking dick around if you don't know what's fucking going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. They thought it was in the water. So
I like that other thing you just coined, stupid warming.
Yeah,
Because
stupid
that is
warming.
one of the major factors of global warming that we're now facing today is fucking stupid warming from all of these processes that existed.
Let's dry up this river because gold is in there.
Yeah. There's some shiny, biteable stuff in there. Let's fucking get that.
Yeah.
I mean, that also affected the whole West Coast to where they're now Arizona's getting water from fucking Colorado River and shit. You know what I mean?
Fuck,
Like,
they're paying people in California to sell their
crazy.
grass
yeah, it's fucking crazy, bro.
and just go to straight gravel.
Yeah.
What?
Turn up.
All right. Welcome to my beautiful front yard. Ow. Oh, sorry. Don't step over there.
Welcome
You know?
to
Yeah.
that dystopia thing we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's close.
So,
It's real close.
you guys, if you take anything away from this episode, fuck off the gold.
Carbon footprint. Think about
You
it.
know?
Well, and that's really just honestly the biggest takeaway from this is the idea of your carbon footprint, right? Something hundreds of thousands of people flocked to one very specific region to try and get their piece of what has been deemed societally as like a precious resource of sorts, just because it's visibly
It's different.
pretty
Yeah.
It's nice.
and hard to find naturally, has completely ruined the ecosystem that we now are forced to live in, right?
Yeah.
And ironically enough, now one of the most valuable resources that we are going to see pretty soon is access to
Water.
clean drinking water.
Oh, yeah. Look at
It's
look at
already
fucking
happening, my dude.
Mississippi right now.
I know.
Mississippi, fucking Detroit,
Yeah.
Arizona,
Detroit's been fucking going through
Michigan,
it for a minute.
Nevada,
Michigan, too.
Michigan, yeah, Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, bro.
Jesus. Yeah. Flint, Michigan. Sorry,
I'm just
guys.
saying Michigan in general.
Yeah, Michigan in
Yeah,
general,
just-
Arizona, Nevada, like all those places, bro.
And, it's
crazy.
Part of that, of course, is people moving into very naturally arid areas in which humans are not going to be very comfortable just on the lack of natural access to it, but also of all of the bullshit that we've already done to what was a amazingly abundant area of the world that is the country that we now live in.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that it's still gorgeous out there and green in some places, but you can see where shit used to be. Like, you can see river lines.
Well, what's
on
funny
mountains,
is that
bro.
this is
you know
just,
what I mean? Like you can see this shit.
I would say it's funny, but it's not funny. What's interesting is this is just history repeating itself off of salt mines. Because back in Roman, Greco-Roman times, salt was
Big deal.
way more precious than gold.
Back when y'all was seasoning food?
They,
Hell yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, fuck.
Well, it's a matter of like preserving.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I
Yeah,
get it.
I mean, that's because, that's the way that's
That's how you preserved it because there was no fucking refrigerators.
Right.
the way we got fucking fried chicken.
Exactly. Yeah. There was no ice.
Now I do love me some fried chicken.
I love
though.
fried
I
chicken.
mean, that's very cool.
I'm probably gonna get some when we get done with this because I just said
Straight
that
up.
and I was like, that sounds like a fucking great idea.
Yeah, I got somewhere else to go. I'm thinking about finding me some fried chicken on the way. Pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
Some fried chicken.
Cracker Barrel has beer now.
Oh god, yeah, y'all are wild. But think about the carbon footprint and planting a tree. It helps, but it doesn't help as much as we all think.
It helps enough. I mean, please
It helps
do the
enough.
part.
I mean,
Do
it
the
helps
part.
enough, but it doesn't help as much as people think it does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's not enough space to plant enough trees to revert what we've done.
You're
So,
absolutely right.
You know what I mean? But anyway, hot facts. You know what I'm saying? You want to say something?
No, I know what you're saying. I'm gonna wait my turn. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just saying hot facts.
Yeah, I know.
I was about to start closing out. You,
Yeah,
I know you are. Go ahead,
Did you
close
have
it up.
Another closing statement.
I'm gonna get my chance. Here we go. You got it, baby.
You
Close it
got your thing. All right. Anyway, yeah, man. Thank you all for tuning in, man. We got one more episode on the Gold Rush, and that'll be on me.
Yep.
And then we got a little friend episode, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I think G has an episode coming up. Right?
Well, we might need to change some stuff because Drew's gonna take his little B-Day party jaunt around the southeast.
Yeah, I'm gonna be gone next Tuesday through the following Monday. So,
Right.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
So,
So
we'll,
Drew's out of studio again
yeah.
next week.
We're gonna take a quick pause on the
Y'all
Gold
can call
Rush
me.
deep dive, and we'll do a little friends thing.
Yeah.
Fun
Well,
little
anyway,
surprise.
we have more in store. Kind of like season 4. But
Hey.
this is season 5, trying to thrive and stay alive.
Yeah.
But
Really trying to lot.
yeah, stay
Live.
tuned.
Stay alive.
You know, we love y'all. Keep listening. Give us that 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram. You know, follow us on Spotify. friends.facts.fiction@gmail.com. If you want to shoot an email for any ideas that you want us to cover, anything, you know, think we might have somebody coming in off of an email soon, actually, on an episode. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway, I'm Justin Hemmons, and I'm saying love, live life, because it's worth living, y'all.
And I'm Drew Shelnut, and I'm saying clean your ass, cut that grass.
There you go.
Seriously though, Grant Bramlett here. First of all, very excited to have Drew back in the studio this week. I
Yeah.
felt a
Sure.
palpable difference in the energy of the room, and
Cha-cha.
you do bring something to this table that is
Unmatchable.
Just a little bit more weird.
and I love it.
Unmatchable.
That's
You know,
good.
there's a little bit of fire to it too. You know,
Yeah.
you know, some can misconstrue it as anger, but I honestly just feel it as,
I'm
as a
just
passion.
passionate.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that because you know, I feel like our last episode, just me and Justin, was fine. It was fine. You know,
It was good. It wasn't great.
exactly. So it's just
Yeah.
lovely to have you back in, man.
I appreciate
you
it. I
know,
love you guys.
and you know, keep that health up, okay?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
And then furthermore,
He really is taking this 15 right here. Okay.
I'm taking my time, baby. Like, honestly, though, anybody out there that has ever valued the idea of a shiny rock that you might get lucky enough to, you know, sluice out of the little creek bed in your backyard, and it looks neat, and somebody else is going to, you know, give you something valuable for this little thing that you managed to find. And then you base your life on that, and many, many, many more people decide they base their lives on that to the point where it actually destroys like the natural beauty of an area that is much more important than you have ever been or ever will be.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, ever fucking liked you. Okay. But anybody out there that has managed to step back from time to time, just even briefly, and you can say that, you know what, the quality of my life is not based off of the monetary financial resources that I can gain and step on top of other people, but in fact, it's more so defined on the positive impact I've made for myself or the people around me. I've always loved you.
Dope.
Turn up.
Yeah, that's a good
No
one.
veggies. That's what's up, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Have a good week. Be happy. Have a good weekend. Have a safe drive. We love y'all. Be beautiful. This has been a podcast called Friends, Facts, and Fiction. And we out.
Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next installment. Find us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on all things Friends, Facts, and Fiction. Our Instagram handle is friends_facts_fiction. As always, please reach out to us. You can send any of your questions, praise, and fact-checking to friends_facts_fiction@gmail.com. It's important to us to only propagate the truth, and we'll correct any errors we may have made. Your hosts and researchers are Justin Hammonds, Grant Bramlett, and Drew Shellnut. Our episodes are produced by Grant Bramlett. Additional producership provided by Grace Higgs. Our recording engineer is Grant Bramlett. Our editor, mix, and mastering audio engineer is Jeremy Mulder. Lighting design is provided by Justin Hammonds. This has been a production of Friends, Facts, and Fiction.
I think I'm gonna get some gold teeth. What do you think? Some gold teeth?
Wheelchair ain't got no wheels.
Gold teeth, baby.